G'day everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Kerry Corney, and in this video I'm going to quickly go through my lessons learnt for this year's bowl project. This is a bit of a continuation from last year's video, so things that I picked up last year to pass on and hopefully help others out along this journey. And in saying that, I have changed a few of those things around just because last year I wanted to just trial some things this year to see if it did speed things up and if it did sort of lessen the load a little bit, like I said in the previous video. Yes, let's get into it. So the first lesson that I had from last year and I continued on to this year is breaking the project down. So having the project in simple, manageable steps. I'm not going to think about the whole 700 or 600 bowls. I'll just focus on the first 100, put it out of my mind, and then I've only got 500 to go. And then before you know it, you've only got 50 to go. And it worked out really well for me this year. Like I said in the previous video, I just wanted to get the bowls done. I wanted to get them out of my mind, and then now I'm going back through and buffing them all up, which is what I'll talk about in just a sec. But breaking large projects down into simple, manageable steps works for my mental load because I'm not thinking about that weight of what I have to get done to get the project over the line. So yeah, that's the first thing, and I think it's a pretty important point to be honest, because I would often sit there and go, bloody hell, you know, I've got 500 to go, you know, and I've got this to do and I've got that to do and I've got all these other little commitments that I have to do, and it does weigh on your mind a bit. But if I just said to myself, right, today I'm going to get 10 done, tomorrow 20, and then on the weekend, if I'm not doing anything, come out to the shed and do 20 or do 10, you know, bit of family time. So it worked out well for me. So try not to think about that whole massive project. You got your deadline, but if you set little goals for each, which I did, set little goals each month, need to get this done, worked out well. And it wasn't so much of just that sort of heavy load on your shoulders. Organising the blanks in batches. And what I mean by that, it keeps the workshop in a nice flow, I found anyway. I would have the milk crates there ready to go like I did last year, get the slabs which I purchased, which worked out better what I originally did last year, chop all the blanks. So I'd use that template method or the circle method, chop all the blanks on the bandsaw and then get them to the drill press and then drill all those blanks, 50 or 100 blanks at a time, all on the drill press with the mortise. And then bring them all to the lathe, stack them here. You've probably seen in previous videos, I stack them all there and then I just get into turning. And that's the most enjoyable part for me anyway, was what I was meant to say. And then I would get all the bowls turned and then off the lathe, ready to roll. So that worked out well for me, and then it kept the workshop clean. So I would finish at the bandsaw, disconnect the dust extraction, clean up, clean the bandsaw down so it was all nice and ready to go for next time, and then onto the drill press. Do the same thing, and then onto the workhorse, the lathe. Not onto it, but you know what I'm saying, getting stuck into turning. And then that way I'm not halfway chopping, halfway drilling, and then into turning, and it's just a mess. And then, I don't know about you, but that gets me down. Seeing the workshop really just messy, you look at it and you know it's messy, and it does weigh on you, it weighs on me. So this point comes down to balancing the time versus buying timber. And what I mean by that is last year, goes hand in hand with the previous point, is last year I went around the property, and I know that we're all guilty of it. We've got timber stored and stashed away everywhere. So last year I went through all my little stashes around that I've got around the property and used all that. It was incredibly time consuming because you've got to get these blanks or this lump of timber down to these little 100 by 100 little squares. That was a circle, but a square, you know what I'm trying to say. And then process those. From that, I would find that the timber wasn't dried perfectly. There would be rot in the timber, there'd be defects, there'd be all types of things which I could get away with doing other little projects with fillers or epoxies and things like that, but that adds time. So every sort of, you know, seconds add to minutes, minutes add to hours, and then it all compounds to the end. So this year around, because I didn't have any stashes left of little pieces, I've got my bowl blanks, the big bowl blanks, ready to go for getting ready for Christmas and things like that, because you can't get that. You can only get that from the log. This year round, I purchased all the timber, which was factored all in, and it sped the process up so much quicker because everything is kiln dried, ready to go. It's at the right thickness that I need. I can also knock it back when I go to the timber mill or whatever. If it's got splits and big defects and rot all through it, I can moisture check it, and it's just, the process was so much faster. So as you've seen in previous videos, I'll put a little video here of how I process it all in the bandsaw and then the drill press. Yeah, so buying timber this year worked out so much better for me. Keep my workshop in the same sort of format, and that helps me with muscle memory. So using the triangle, so I've got my workhorse here, and you'll actually notice this in kitchens, and I speak about it all the time, but you'll notice in the kitchen you've got your workbench, and then you've got your oven and probably the sink, or you've got the fridge, the workbench, and then the oven, or a scenario like that. That's how my sort of workshop is designed as well. I've got my workhorse here, the workbench, and then I've got my sharpening station, and then I've got my tools, or the bench behind me. So I've got everything within arm's reach around me, ready to go. And I'm a very habit sort of person, so I can find things really quickly when I do put things back, because sometimes I don't. So next point is cutting tenons with the bowl gouge. You know me, I always try to use the skew, the 1-inch skew, to cut tenons. I still do that. I still do that on large bowl blanks. I cut the tenon with the skew because it gives that really nice dovetail cut, which then the jaws of the chuck jaws can clamp in really nicely. But the thing is when I did do that, it left a little mark on the back of the bowl. So I tried to get away from doing that because it just, yet another little, oh, it's only a few seconds, but the seconds obviously add up. So I have to stop and then sand that little bit where the bowl meets the tenon. And I like keeping the tenon on these little bowls. I just think it looks neat. That's my personal opinion. And that's what the client approved of. But you'd have to stop and sand. So this time, keeping that really sharp one gouge for your final cuts and the same gouge for cutting that tenon. And you know, you're probably all, those people that watch my videos regularly, you have seen me do that. So now, one bowl at a time. Last year, I would turn the bowl, sand the bowl, and finish the bowl. Sounds practical, sounds like the right way of doing it, and it probably is. But for me, this year, going back to number one, where I just broke the project down, I just wanted to get the project complete. So I would finish the bowl, sand the bowl, oil it with the Osmo oil, put it to the side, and now I'm going back through in batches and just polishing, buffing, and then fully complete, ready to go. Which is good for two things. It allowed me to get the bowls fully complete out of my mind and that load off my shoulders. But now it also allows me to go back through and do a bit of a quality control, a Kezza quality control on myself. So watching for my own self of what I did wrong and things that I can see that I'm not happy with. I can touch them up there and then, or if the bowl's got a little split, which I noticed this bowl here had a little split on the rim that developed. So that's not going into the final batch of finished bowls. So it's allowing another little step of quality control in the whole process. Trust your eye and your judgment. Last year, I mentioned I bought an attachment, which I'll put on the screen, that went into the tailstock, which allowed me to center the bowl up to the vacuum chuck. Now, like I said, seconds add to minutes, minutes add to hours. I got rid of that pretty quickly because I find it just so much easier lining the bowl up by eye, and then we're ready to go. Bringing up the tailstock, and sometimes you need the tool rest, so you got to shuffle the tool rest around, and the banjo, get that out of the way. Bring the tool rest, the tailstock up. Goodness me. Bring the tailstock up, put it on the chuck, and then suction it on. Was just another little step and an annoying little thing that I had to do. So I got rid of that pretty quickly and then just reverted back to trusting my eye and my judgment. One more thing that I will add to that, if the bowl doesn't feel right in your hand, it won't look right. So trust your feel. And for me, when I am turning And if I can feel inside the bowl and there's just something there. If you've felt that before. And then I would have a look and then, okay, I need to do another cut, or, I need to sharpen my gouge, it's getting a bit blunt. So I would try and trust myself and my judgment and the feel for the material. So next point, using dedicated drills for sanding, or dedicated tools for sanding. So I'd use these 2 drills, but I had separate mandrels for all the different grits. This year, 1 mandrel for each drill. I had several mandrels, the heads, but I would just go through the grits, 120, 180, 240. I keep all the grits in my little organizer here. Makes life a hell of a lot easier for myself. Just saved time. Yet again, changing the mandrels out, just a bit of a pain. So I'll just take care to gently take the sandpaper off, put a new one on, ready to go. And on that note, I try to use sandpaper. I think Mike Mahoney said this once, use sandpaper as if someone else bought it. So if it's not cutting, you need to swap it out. So for me, that works. I keep that in the back of my mind, which I'll go on to another point later about sandpaper. But I think that point resonates with a lot of people, because you try and save every little piece of it, which it is expensive. But if it's not cutting, it's just heating the piece up, and then you can get splits and you can damage the timber. So, but I always keep this rubber sticks close by for cleaning the heads up, which refreshes the face of the sandpaper. And I also use these rotary head sanders as well. You can get these from Vicmark, which you can connect your vacuum cleaner to the base, and it draws the dust through these vents. And this one here is by U-Butte Polishers. They were the original ones that made these rotary sanders, but they don't make them anymore. So now, talking about finish, I'm using the same products as last year. So the Triple E, Shallow Axe Cream. I don't think I used, actually, I lie. I don't think I used the Shit Hot Wax Stick, but it's the same yarn. I'm using the same stuff from the same company, not sponsored. It just works. This year, I've changed it because I've just used the Osmo oil, which sort of sealed the timber up, protected the timber, and gave a coat of oil. So it's like a base layer. And then I would just cut it back like a cut and polish with this, and then put the shine on with that. So the finishing hasn't changed. I don't have all the boxes here like I did last year and just sort of had everything around. I kept that clear, and then that way it was just less for me to worry about, because I was finishing them at the time. This time it's just, I've got everything here that I need. One thing when it comes to finishes that I want to just quickly add to it is it's got to tick a few boxes. And I guess for us, it needs to be food safe, it needs to be durable, it needs to look pretty, and easily accessible, and also easy to apply. And these work well for me in those principles. Osmo oil is a little bit tricky to apply, because if you get a run, if it's a big run, you need to sand it back, unfortunately. So it is a little bit tricky to control with Osmo oil, but these products here work really well. And in the end, they do become food safe after a certain period of time. So those little steps for myself, whenever I'm choosing a finish, come into play. So my next point is having multiple tools. And this is going to get me in a little bit of trouble if she watches this video. But having multiple tools to do the job saves time from going to the grinder and stopping what you're doing. So for my bulk removal tools, I've got, my apologies, hold on. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 4 bulk removal tools, gouges, to just remove all the timber, remove all that timber off. And then I've got 3 final finishing cut tools. What I do is I lay them out on the bench to my right here, so I can just grab them and then work away. I'm not having to stop, sharpen, come back with the same one, and then work away. I can take all of them over to the sharpening station and then sharpen them all in one hit. For me, it just saves so much time. One gets dull, you put it to the side. You work with the next one, and so on and so forth. And I think you can pick up what I'm putting down is that it does save time in the end, because you're not having to stop work and go and sharpen all your gouges. So having multiple tools gets us in trouble, but saves us time and allows us to come back inside into the house a lot quicker. Next point, sandpaper. Now, I bulk order all my sandpaper in through a rep. I don't go to the big green shed or a hardware store or something like that. I bulk order in from a proper sandpaper dealer. There's several of them all around the world. It's got to be a good quality, it's got to be for the right price, but it can't be crap. It's got to meet that balance. And for me, this sandpaper works a treat. It's called Super Cut Purple Line Sandpaper from Hermes here in Australia, but it works out well for me. And I order several thousand or 1,000 or so discs at a time, the 6-inch discs, and then I chop them all down with my drill press to get the 3-inch and the 2-inch discs out of it. If you try and purchase 3-inch and 2-inch discs separately, it costs an absolute fortune. I do it all myself, which also allows me to be, I forgot the word, but independent. So I'm not having to rely on the sandpaper dealers to be open when I need it or I run out. Because I do this in between other things, I don't always have the time. I don't want to be turning at night time or in the afternoon or something like that and then run out of sandpaper, and then it's in the afternoon and I have to just literally stop work because I can't sand anything. So I could keep turning, but then you run the risk of the tenons not, anyway. So being independent and being autonomous? No. Having autonomy? No. I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say. Being able to cut your own sandpaper works an absolute treat, and it saves time, it saves money, and you're not having to rely on other people. You just order bulk, comes in, chop it all up, you're ready to go. So a little bonus point that I have changed dramatically from last year is cutting all my tenons with the drill press. So not having the hand drill there and getting it off and getting the drill on the angle or not the right flush with the face, you know, a proper little plunge. Having the drill press saves so much time. I've got a video here playing. You can line all your blanks up and just drill press till your heart's content, and then I've got all the blanks that I have that I need to do that week's bowls or whatever that month's bowls. So drill pressing the mortise saves so much time. I don't know why I didn't do it sooner. Now trying to do it with other pieces. I don't do it for the very large pieces, especially when I am coring bowls. A tenon is superior to a mortise every day of the week because timber is stronger under compression than it is expansion. So for me, the mortise works a treat for these little pieces and platters, but not for large, big bowls like I showed earlier. So hope I helped someone out there that is in my position or wanting to undertake a bit of a batch project thing. I hope these videos do help you. So thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video and be part of this journey with me. I really appreciate it. So yes, I will see you and talk to you directly. Cheers guys, bye. Tell me to get stuck back in.